The man I watched had sold out 50 shows in a single day. Millions of people were waiting for him. He never made it to a single one.
Thank you, sir. He's pumping his chest, but he's not responding to anything, sir. Please.
Just after 1 a.m., he walks toward me. He stops. 4 seconds. I have watched this door for 3 years. I know what tired looks like. I know what drunk looks like. I know what a man looks like when he just wants to get inside. This was none of those things. 4 seconds of standing perfectly still, facing a door he has opened 10,000 times, not moving. In 10 months of this specific recording, it has never happened, not once. Sometime later, one man was convicted, but he was not the one I watched that night. I have the record, and the record has never been fully explained. This is what I saw. The corridor outside this door is always cold. It runs the length of the building with no insulation on the north side. Shoulders raised, steps faster, get inside, get warm. He does neither. His average entry time over 10 months, under a second and a half. Cold nights, long tours, late returns from a city he does not know well. Never more than 2 seconds. That night, 4. I run this frame many times. First read, he is checking his phone, his hands are at his sides, no phone. Second read, he is adjusting something, a jacket, a bag, he is not moving at all. Third read, he is drunk or exhausted beyond the point of normal function, his posture is straight, his balance is steady. None of those fit. I keep coming back to the angle, slightly down, slightly right. I have run every other explanation I have, none of them hold. That angle in this corridor points to one place, the bedroom door. He is not looking out. He is looking in, and I cannot see what is there. My frame shows no one else in the corridor behind him. What is on the other side of that door I cannot see. What he hears through it, I cannot hear. But he stands there for 4 seconds, and then he walks in. The door closes. I have no record of what changed between the stage and that door. I only know something did. 4 hours before my door, a stage. I have no footage of that. My lens does not reach that far. What I know from my own record, he enters my frame once, that night. Everything before that I did not see. First read of the gap, nothing unusual. Long night, long show, man goes home. The 4-second freeze is fatigue. A body that has been running on nothing finally hitting a wall. That read is clean. It makes sense. Most people who looked at this case stopped there. But something in that read breaks down. Fatigue makes you slow. It does not make you stand perfectly still for 4 seconds, staring at the angle of a bedroom door. A tired man fumbles with his keys. He does not freeze and listen. What came out later in the record, during those 4 hours, he placed a call. He said he needed to stop. Not the show, not the tour, the treatment. Someone on the other end talked him back in. That someone has a name. That name appeared in the civil record, never in the criminal one. He walked through my door carrying whatever that conversation left him with. I have no way of knowing what that was. I only know the weight of how he moved. It was different. He was not alone that night. Someone else had already entered. I logged them earlier that evening, a case in both hands, heavy enough to shift their balance slightly left. First read, medical equipment, routine. The kind of thing you see with someone who needs overnight monitoring. Nothing alarming about it. I have seen this entry before. Same person, same case, same time window, over 2 months of recordings. 2 months. I keep trying to make the case entry make sense, but none of the explanations hold. What was inside that case was never meant to be used in a place like this. Not a corridor, not a bedroom, somewhere with equipment, personnel, eyes on a monitor. That is not the right setting, and whoever arranged this knew that. 2 months is not a mistake. 2 months is a decision made repeatedly. Someone was paying for what was in that case. Someone signed the arrangement. I have no record of who, but the record that came after does. And that person was never named in criminal proceedings. This is the part I return to most. At some point behind that door, something goes wrong. I do not see it happen. What I log, the corridor stays empty. He was found not breathing around 11 in the morning.
Fire paramedic 33, what is the address of the emergency?
Yes, sir. I need an ambulance as soon as possible, sir. He's not breathing, and we're trying to pump him, but he's not.
Okay, we're on our way.
The call to emergency services came at 12:21. Between those 2 moments, 47 minutes of other calls. First read, panic, but something does not fit. The first call lasted 32 minutes. It went to a Las Vegas office. A man is not breathing in the next room, and the first call is 32 minutes to Las Vegas. That is not panic. That is coordination. Emergency services was the last call. The timeline did not change. Nothing in my record ever changes. At some point that morning, the caretaker steps away from the door. I log a corridor exit. The corridor is empty the entire time. No entry, no exit. The explanation given later, a simple break. But his testimony changed more than once. The caretaker returns. Nothing has changed. What happened in that room, I have no record. But their account changed more than once. Mine did not. At 12:21, the corridor changes. Not gradually, all at once. Voices first, then motion, multiple people. Uniforms I have not logged before in this hallway. They move fast and they move with equipment. First read, urgency, no time for doors. That read holds. What does not hold is the 47 minutes before this moment. If the call came the moment something went wrong, they would have arrived earlier. At some point after that, he passes through this corridor for the last time. He entered just after 1 in the morning on his own feet. He does not leave the same way. He did not come back through it. The door to the room stays open after they go. The corridor is empty. For the first time in months, I log nothing. That is not the part I return to. People come back, not the uniforms, not the people who came with equipment, others. Based on what I logged, some of them had been here before, not as visitors, as staff. One interpretation is that they came out of concern, people who worked closely with him wanting to know. That is possible. A second interpretation is that this was routine, people with access, handling what needed to be handled. That is also possible. What I cannot account for is what some of them carried on the way out. What was later disputed in court about what left this property that day, that is not my record. That is someone else's. Some things do not pass through my frame. I cannot log decisions, contracts, conversations, but I can log what passes through my corridor. Over months, he changes. He had not slept properly in weeks. The person with the case was hired because of that. 50 shows were announced, warnings were given, and more shows were added. Someone read those warnings and chose to continue. He carried that decision through this door. One person was held responsible. That is the official record. But my corridor shows more than one moment. It shows a chain. a second finding expanded responsibility, but it was largely ignored. I keep returning to the same point. Not that night. Weeks before, the moment the warnings were ignored. I am a corridor camera. I record what passes through my frame. The caretaker was sentenced to 4 years. He served 2. The 50 shows were never performed. Someone signed those shows. Someone read the warnings. Someone chose to continue. And when it mattered most, the first call went to Las Vegas, not to emergency services. I have no record of anyone being asked to answer for any of it. Do you think one name was enough? Don't miss out on the next content. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications.